This is an easy and relatively quick bread recipe. It takes approximately 3 hours to do. Super simple. I have 1 cup and 1 tablespoon of milk that I need to scald. So what you'll do is turn it on medium heat, take it to 180 to 185 degrees. This will break the whey down in the milk and it'll allow the bread to rise. Take your scalded milk, cool it to room temperature, add it to your bowl or your mixer. You can do it by hand if you don't have a stand-up mixer. And add in 1/4 cup of sugar. And I have a pack of active dry yeast. It's about 2 1/4 teaspoons. And we'll let that yeast activate. Approximately 10 minutes will work for this. It's active dry yeast. Now that the yeast has started to foam up and is reactivated, I'll go ahead and throw in the rest of my ingredients. 1 egg, 6 tablespoons melted butter, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 3 cups of bread flour. I'll get these ingredients incorporated and then we'll let it sit for 20 minutes. Okay, now that our ingredients have set for 20 minutes, we will knead for 8 minutes. You can do this with a stand mixer and a dough hook, or you can do it by hand. Now that we've kneaded our dough for 8 minutes, we're going to cover it up and let it sit for 10 minutes. So here I have a baking dish that I have buttered. I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to put down just a little bit of flour. You don't want too much. On my board. We'll dump a flour right out on it. It's still kind of sticky. Okay, so that's how the dough looks right now. And what I'm going to do is cut this into 20 dinner rolls. And I'll half it and just keep halving those halves until I have 20 dinner rolls. I don't have a fancy bread cutter, but I do have a old hickory knife that I buttered, and this always seems to work just fine for me. So I'll cut these into 20 and I'll be right back. Now that I have my rolls divided into 20, I'm going to try to get them shaped in as smooth of a ball as I can, and I just put them in my hands and do this, and it comes out pretty decent. Or you can also push in with one of your fingers and pull down to stretch the top. It seems like this is just as easy to me. Once I get this done, I'll put them all in my buttered pan. So here's our dinner rolls divided out. They're not perfect, but they're good enough. I'm going to cover these with saran wrap and I'm going to let them rise for 1 hour. And at about the 45-minute mark or so, I'll turn my oven on to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and have it preheated and ready to go. So I'll let these rise for 1 hour and we'll be back. Okay, our rolls have now risen. They've doubled in size. I'm going to put them in the oven at 375 for 15 to 20 minutes and let them bake. Okay, I've got the rolls out of the oven. They bake for 18 minutes. I have also melted some butter, and I'm just going to brush a little bit of this on top, and this will keep the tops of your rolls soft. So once I do this, I'll flip it out on a cooling rack and let them cool for a few minutes, and these will pull right apart. And I also have a little recipe for a little bit of honey butter that I'll throw in here because it makes them delicious. We've got the rolls on a cooling rack, and here I've got 2 tablespoons of butter, and for the honey recipe I use half the honey to the quantity of the butter. So I'll do 1 tablespoon of honey into the 2 tablespoons of butter and stir that up. And this is what we'll end up using inside of the rolls. We'll cut them open and make some sweet and savory and super yummy. So I've let these rolls cool for a minute and they just pull right apart. You can see that. Still steaming. We'll break it apart and we'll get some of the honey butter that we made. I'll just put that right on the inside. I'll try a bite here and let you know how it tastes. They're delicious. I hope you try this recipe and I hope you enjoy it. And if so, let me know.